Hello, and welcome to Evolve Pipedrive Podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and Pipedrive Marketplace. Today, I'm joined by George, the head of partnerships at Reply.io, and he's going to walk us through the Reply.io platform and how it integrates with Pipedrive. George, over to you.
Hi, Bruce. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you very much. So, what are we looking at here? We've got I can see some sequences on the platform. Is this what you would consider the home screen for Reply?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is kind of the main page at Reply when you log into the platform. Reply is a sales engagement system, a multi-channel sales engagement system that offers automation of your typical touch points to your prospects, whether it's cold leads, warm inbound leads, or whoever else. But if you have a lot of people to connect with, Reply allows you to do that with the same level of personalization and personal touch as if you were to do it manually, but it allows you to scale it. And what we're looking at is kind of the first page you typically see when you log in, which is the list of your sequences, as we call them. You can call them campaigns, cadences. We just call them sequences, and some high level stats. There's obviously a lot more stats and analytics, which I'm happy to dive into, but this is kind of the first page that you see.
Nice. So you've got the owner, you've got the progress. I guess that's the progress of the sequence or campaign, and you've got the different folders as well, right? So is there any limits to the number of sequences you can have in a folder?
So, good question. And no, you don't have any limits. Although, with a typical reply sequence, or with a typical reply account, people need to be aware of the kind of natural limitations of the email mailboxes that they're connecting to the system.
Mm,
Even though technically we don't limit people from creating as many sequences as they want, you want to be careful with the number of contacts you're reaching out to on a daily basis. First of all, we have our own kind of safety bandwidth limits that just keep you from immediately getting into trouble with Google or Outlook or whoever else you use.
yeah,
But then if you create 10, 20 different sequences and each of them has, a few thousand contacts, it's just going to take a while. Nothing bad is going to happen, but our system is going to stagger the outreach so that we can safely put everyone through their sequence of all of the steps, emails, phone calls, SMS, LinkedIn, whatever you create in the sequence. So it should be done safely, and the measures that we have just basically automatically stagger them throughout the timeline that you have set out for this sequence. And one way to work around that is to use more mailboxes. You can connect
mm,
multiple mailboxes to your sequences. You can assign a single mailbox to the same sequence or multiple mailboxes to the same sequence to increase the bandwidth of how many people are going to be touched by this specific sequence, because those mailboxes are used on a rotating basis, if it makes sense.
yeah. And I'm sure we could have a whole hour conversation on
Yeah.
rotating of mailboxes between even between a Google Workspace, Outlook, domains and things like that as well. So cycling those through, but
I'm
yeah. Sorry.
so I'm happy to basically just go through very quickly, not to dive too deep into technical details of each and every feature, but kind of high
Yeah.
level so people understand what are the core 3 to 5 steps that need to be done in order to launch a campaign successfully. So the main point is the interaction and the setup in the system should be done just once in the beginning. Once you set everything up, then you click kind of launch, and you set it and forget it, as we call it. Obviously, there's a lot more that you can do in this system, but at the very minimum, you just go through a few main steps, and everything is running for you in the background while you focus on most important things like talking to customers and having those demos with actual people who do return your emails and do get back to you.
Yeah.
So should we just go through the kind of high level
Yeah.
steps?
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Perfect. Perfect. So, in a nutshell, reply just the basics. Reply first and foremost is not like a third-party system, emailing system that sends emails on your behalf. It is literally you, the user, who sends those emails. And I'm only using emails as an example because, again, there are multiple other channels that we support.
Hmm.
But in all those channels, you, the user, is in the front seat. Basically, what that means is the first initial step you need to do is to connect at least one mailbox. We recommend using business mailboxes, not those free Gmails and Yahoos. Although technically you can do that, but with effective outreach campaign, that's not recommended. People are more likely to respond to some proper business emails,
Yeah.
and you need at least one. Obviously, the more you can connect multiple, like we've already discussed. You can connect multiple mailboxes. I have two versions of my email here. The more mailboxes you have access to, the better, because you reduce the load on each mailbox, and therefore you increase deliverability, and therefore you increase the amount of people who engage, reply, and then ultimately have conversations with you. So that's the initial step. It's super simple. It's one click. Again, not to spend too much time on this one. We support Gmail, we support Outlook, we support even kind of non standard, non-popular email providers. You can just connect through other provider, but Gmail, all of the most popular ones are through single click, meaning we authenticate via Google, via Outlook, so you don't have to give us any of your passwords. You're giving it to Google, like you do with many other tools. Once
Nice.
that is done, because email kind of is the core channel, still pretty much the flagship outreach channel for, I would say, 99% of our customers,
Hmm.
this is the bare minimum. Although you can also, if you want to do multi-channel campaigns, you can connect your LinkedIn account, you can rent a phone number. All of the channels that we support basically connect your credentials in order to be able to utilize those channels in a cohesive manner within those sequences. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. Once you've connected that, especially if you're a new user, you're not going to see any sequences here. You're going to start with a clean slate. So you can start with a new sequence. You can look, the quickest way to get acquainted with what a sequence is to go through a few templates just to get inspired by.
Yeah.
Although, if I'm honest, I always recommend people write their own sequences because they know their product or service like no one else. So they would be able to write a much better performing campaign because they can talk about things that they are experts in.
Yeah.
Although, again, templates is a good way to start. From scratch is where you go through a few initial steps one by one. The system just guides you through the setup process. Basically, step one, you write those emails or phone call scripts or SMS or WhatsApp messages. You just create them one by one. Step one, day one. Step two, day five, let's
Yeah.
say, and so on. So you create the whole sequence. You go through the AI element, which is optional, but we're very big on AI way before it became super popular over the
Yeah.
past year.
That's true.
We can write your emails for you if you know what you want to sell, but don't know how to explain it or put it properly, especially if the language of your recipient is not your native language. We can
Mm.
help you with that through AI, generative AI. Then you add people. This is where we're going to be talking about some of the Pipedrive integration that we have. You look at what's being generated, just preview, some housekeeping, some settings. Again, which mailboxes are being used, what are the delays, some of the standard stuff. Typically, I recommend just keeping everything by default. It's optimized to get you the best deliverability possible. You create a schedule, which is a set of time frames when those touch points are going to be scheduled and sent, and then you launch the sequence. As a result of it, you're going to see something like this, and I want to show you some of the sequences that we have been running, and again, just real life type of sequences. No pre no prepared type of demo
Hmm.
environment, because again, we're very heavy users of our own system. As a
What do you think about when you said using AI to write the emails? Are you using it for a use case? You may. want to A/B test it, right? So there might be a sales manager or there's a sales script, and they might be happy with it, but the first dip into having AI write some emails for you, could you A/B test them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a very good point. So first of all, you can A/B test or ABCDEFG test all of your emails. You can create as many variants as you want, and that's exactly what the sequence from my colleague Michelle is for. We have different subject lines. We have different copy of the email. As far as I can see, she already disabled the variants B and C.
Yeah.
The reason is exactly what you're describing. You want to see what works and what doesn't work, and typically, if you put at least an initial, I don't know, 100 people through these variants, later on in the stats, you're going to see which one gives you more opens, more replies. Typically, open rate is affected by the subject line and how personalized and interesting and catchy it is,
Yeah.
versus the response rate. If the call to action is reply to me, the copy of the email is super important. And this is where Chat GPT, we're integrating with GPT. We can write your email for you, and all of those three variants we can write for you. The more advanced version of it, we can write the whole sequence for you. So there are workflows that allow you to go through the creation of the sequence within a few clicks. It is, like I said, we're very big on AI because we see tremendous effect that it has on the sales community, especially people that are new to this type of automation.
Hmm. Love it.
So basically, so once the sequence is done, this is where you can kind of set it and forget it. Forget it, meaning the only remaining piece is we need to get some context. So the sequence itself, with all of its A/B testing, and by the way, A/B testing could be done on a higher level, meaning you can A/B test individual messages here, but you can create a whole other sequence
Mm.
within a click. You can duplicate it, and let's say change something in that sequence. In that case, you are comparing two identical sequences against each, maybe not two identical, but some of the variables are changed. Let's say the audiences are different, or maybe the languages are different. You can create a sequence and, like I said, translate through ChatGPT. You can quickly translate it and launch it, and see how well each of them performs through again, very extensive different dashboards with very extensive analytics applied to not just your account but the whole team. We have team functionality. You can all collaborate together, look at what works, what doesn't work. Again, if something works very well within one of your team members' account, you can replicate that by utilizing those kind of internal best practices that you have developed by creating a duplicate campaign and sharing it across the rest of the team, therefore increasing open rates, reply rates for everybody in the team and not just one person. And again, for the sake of saving time, analytics are very, very granular if need be. They're very kind of friendly, meaning you will see all of the high level stats that you need to understand, like open rates, reply rates, including the AI based interested not interested
Hmm.
rate, which is used. GPT is also used for sentiment analysis.
Nice.
And the result is, again, you launch the sequence, you enable it. The only remaining part is keep feeding new and new contacts to that sequence, which is also a process that could be completely automated through an integration with CRM like Pipedrive. We can pull contacts that match certain conditions and push them into a specific sequence without you having to lift a finger. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You define the workflows, define the conditions, which we're going to talk about, and I'll show you what the integration looks like. Uh, and you tell the system that people in Pipedrive that match certain conditions should be synced with a reply and then put into one of the reply sequences that are designed specifically for that cohort of people. And
Mm.
therefore, the only remaining job is keep adding more context to Pipedrive, whether, again, they're inbound, outbound, whether you acquire them through sources like ZoomInfo, or we also have our own database. We also have our own scraper that's part of the subscription. There can be many different sources, but as long as they originate in Pipedrive, everything else happens automatically in both directions, by the way.
Nice.
should we maybe look at the Pipedrive integration, or
Let's go. I think that's a good,
good
a
segue?
nice segue is
Yeah,
is is the way. I mean,
perfect.
I think there's one thing that there's so much to look at. I think on here, so I would recommend anyone getting a personal demo of this as well for your own use case. But I think in what we're going to see here is it sounds like in this use case, it's got data's mastered and or collected via Pipedrive, and it might be labeled as new customer or hot lead, with then or webinar sign up. That's then going to push into a campaign, I guess, within reply.
Exactly. So those are the conditions or filtering criteria that we're going to use in order to use as a trigger in order to put them into not just reply database, but also into one of those sequences that could be running at all times. You don't have to recreate a sequence or enroll a person into a sequence manually like you have to do in many other systems. Okay, so we are in this demo account where we have Pipedrive integration enabled, and this is where I wanted to quickly illustrate what that integration looks like and what it means to set up an integration with Pipedrive. First of all, I have to say Pipedrive integration is one of our probably best integrations in terms of functionality and feature sets compared to even our own native integrations with other CRMs, simply because reply our audiences with Pipedrive are very similar, if not identical. Meaning, reply is very SMB to mid market friendly,
Hmm.
and the business. So basically, what I'm saying is we have a lot of customers that require a good level of integration with Pipedrive. That's why we built it.
Nice.
The integration looks like this. It is very straightforward. It's kind of step by step. The first thing you do after you've connected your Pipedrive via API key, which is straightforward. You just get it
Hmm.
from Pipedrive, put it here. You define those integration steps, and those steps could be created in both directions, from Pipedrive to Reply and from Reply to Pipedrive. And within each integration step that you can create any number of, you do the following steps. Number one, field mappings. This is just simply to make sure that all of the contact information that you have in Pipedrive is being transferred to Reply, so we can use those bits of information as variables to personalize messages. And this is where I usually say the more variables you have, the better it is, because it allows you to stand out as a more personalized with a more personalized email in the person's inbox. Uh, so number one, field mapping. Number two, filtering rules. So first of all, this is optional. You don't need to create a rule, and if you don't, all of your Pipedrive contacts are going to be synced with people in Reply, which is also useful because you want to keep those databases synchronized. But the
Yeah.
reason you might want to use these rules, filtering rules, is because you want to create multiple integration steps that sync different groups of people, different cohorts, depending on their, let's say, industry positions or territories, or any combination of those things. So for that reason, you want to create a filtering rule that are used in order to narrow down who gets to be sent into Reply. If you have a team of people using Pipedrive, you can map the owner so that the owner in Pipedrive corresponds to the owner in Reply. And then the final step, and again, this is optional, but you want to kind of close that automation loop by specifying where exactly are they sent, these people
Yeah.
that match those filtering conditions. And that's about it. Once this is done, like I said, you can create any number of these integration workflows. And if you do multiple workflows, that probably means you have multiple sequences to send them to for better personalization, for better engagement rates as a result. You enable that integration step, you enable the integration kind of master toggle here, and this is the set it and forget it logic. The opposite one is slightly less used because not always you have to update the information, but it's immensely useful because Reply enriches the data with new fields, with new information. And if you want to keep that information updated in your single source of truth, which is typically the CRM, you want to do the same process, but from reply to Pipedrive, because again, we have opens, we have clicks, we have interested, not interested, and many, many other things. You want to synchronize that back into Pipedrive. Now, one of the reasons this is more advanced in terms of integration capabilities than our other integrations is this tab here, triggers and activity, because we are able to record an activity into your Pipedrive timeline based on what you want to record. So there's a whole bunch of different toggles that allow you to sync when emails are sent, emails are opened, replied, clicked, and all of that as events in your Pipedrive history. So again, you will not be missing any of those important events that you can build further workflows and automations on in Pipedrive itself. And
That's also quite interesting. With the inbox category was set as interested, you might then create an activity to call because it's highly engaged, or within your CRM to get someone to call them. Same thing for a negative, maybe to call them for feedback or whatever else. But it's using the sentiment analysis of that reply to then log them into a certain criteria.
exactly. There's a
Very nice.
trick that you can do inside reply. You can definitely log that in Pipedrive. Like I said, it's and most people use the CRM as a single source of truth, so everything is kept there. But what you can do in reply is you can also automate the next steps, because we have basically we have our own version of triggers, and the trigger could be we got a response and the response is interested. What do we do next? We create a trigger with the sentiment being the trigger. Sorry, the trigger would be like response received, email. There's a whole bunch of them, but somewhere here you will find like response email has been responded to, and then the if condition would be if the sentiment is interested, then you can put them into a list. You can just categorize them. We have lists in reply, or you can put them into a next sequence, and that sequence starts with a phone call, because we have phone calls integrated into reply. You can make phone calls right from our system, so you don't have to do anything else other than just open your tasks. We have our quick Chrome extension
Nice.
that basically lists all of the things you have to do today. You can filter them by the type of a task, by the timing. Like, what do I have scheduled for today? Let's say a bunch of phone calls, and you go through each and every phone call. Or depending on who you work with, depending on who you're reaching out to, if it's more of a high level activity and you can't afford to just call everyone, every single contact, you can automate further steps. You can automate the next email. That would be the content of that email would basically take into account the fact that they responded with "I'm interested." So the next email might say something like, "Perfect, let's get on a demo. Let's schedule something." Or "Here's a link. Here's how you register," or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot more further automation and branched logic in these outreach campaigns that can be designed. And this is more of an advanced power user type of scenario, but we help our customers with that through our customer success service.
I think it's great. And I think in terms of the, so we could keep going on this because I think this is great. But hopefully, and everyone that's watching this finds this useful as an intro to reply and how easily it can connect to Pipedrive and just what can be done. What would you recommend? Would you recommend people get in touch with you for a personal demo or speak to the team? What's the best way around there?
Yeah, so I believe we're going to be publishing some links wherever this recording will be posted. But if you're just listening to this somewhere, just reach out to sales@reply.io, or to me personally at George, George at reply.io, and we'll kind of walk you through the whole process.
Yeah. Well, George, that's awesome. I'm conscious of your time here as well, but I think this is a really nice introduction to reply platform. There's so many different things that you got me thinking about here. Certainly with the calling and the kind of multi-channel outreach that you guys are building, very very cool indeed. So thank you very much. And again, we'll have links in the description below, wherever you are watching this or listening to this. And George, once again, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. My pleasure.